In the journey of life, perhaps the most difficult thing isn't overcoming hardship, but seeing a person's true character. People often hide their true nature behind masks of words, gestures, and reputation. How can we know who is a true friend and who is just an acquaintance? How can we distinguish between sincerity and deceit to avoid the immeasurable disasters that come from blind trust? The ancients, with the profound wisdom accumulated over thousands of years of observation, have left behind priceless lessons on the art of reading people. Today, let us listen to the story of a young man named Minh Quan and the 5 lessons he learned in a small tea shop, lessons that can help you become more discerning on your life's journey. The story begins in the bustling capital, where Minh Quan, a young scholar who had just entered the world of business, was tasting his first bitter defeat. He had invested all his capital and placed his full trust in a sworn brother he had unknown for long, but who had an incredibly sweet tongue. In the end, that man vanished without a trace, taking all the money and goods, leaving Minh Quan with empty hands and a shattered heart. In his despair, Minh Quan wandered aimlessly through the streets. His feet led him to a small tea shop tucked away in a quiet alley, a stark contrast to the noise outside. The owner was an old man named Triat, whose hair had turned the color of smoke, but whose eyes were unusually bright and sharp. Seeing Minh Quan's sorrowful appearance, the old man didn't ask many questions, simply brewing a pot of the finest tea and inviting him to drink. As the aroma of the tea began to fill the air, Minh Quan could no longer contain his feelings and told the old man everything that had happened. After listening, old man Triat just smiled, slowly poured the tea into a cup, and said, "Young man, a person's heart is like these tea leaves. Some types release a strong fragrance as soon as they are brewed, but the tea itself is bland. Others have a delicate scent, but only after several infusions can you taste the deep sweetness within. To see through people and avoid disaster, you don't need to study far and wide. You only need to remember these 5 things." And with that, old man Triat began his lesson. First, look at how they treat those of lower status. No matter what fine clothes a person wears or how beautifully they speak to the powerful, their true nature will be revealed by how they treat a waiter, a beggar, or someone in a weaker position. A person of noble character will always maintain respect and compassion for everyone. Conversely, one who bows before the strong but tramples on the weak will sooner or later betray you for their own benefit. Second, observe their reaction in the face of gain and failure. When faced with great profit, a person of integrity will think of fairness, while a petty person will only think of how to seize it all. When faced with failure, a person of integrity will accept responsibility, while a petty person will find every way to blame others. Profit and failure are the 2 most accurate touchstones for measuring a person's integrity and heart. Third, see who their frequent companions are. Remember this: birds of a feather flock together. A person cannot, for a long period, associate with people whose characters are completely opposite to their own. A person's close friends are the clearest mirror reflecting who they are. If they associate with cheats and gamblers, then no matter how decent they appear, you should be wary. Fourth, listen carefully to what they do not say. Words can lie, but silence and unintentional expressions cannot. When you ask about a sensitive issue, observe whether they evade the question, whether their eyes shift. When they hear a sad story, do they show genuine empathy or just feigned pity? Sometimes, the greatest truths are not found in words, but in the pauses between them. And the final thing, the 5th, do not trust in momentary vows. Look at their consistent actions over the years, the old man said as he poured more water into the teapot. Promises and vows are the easiest things to say, but also the most fragile. Never place your faith in flowery words spoken in a moment of high emotion. Instead, observe quietly. Whether a person is trustworthy is seen in the small actions they persistently do, day after day, year after year. Consistency in action is the most reliable guarantee of a person's character. Each of old man Trias' words was like a drop of sweet dew, quenching the thirst of Minh Quan's soul, which had been parched by betrayal. He had a sudden awakening. He realized his mistake was in listening only to sweet words, while ignoring the essential observations. Minh Quan respectfully bowed his head to thank old man Triat. drinking the last of the tea with deep gratitude. He stepped out of the tea shop, no longer the naive scholar of before, but a man with a steady gaze and a wiser heart. Ladies and gentlemen, these 5 teachings from the ancients. Dogsimple the essence, the guiding principles that help us walk more firmly on our path. To see a person's true character and avoid unnecessary misfortune, always remember: 1. Look at how they treat the weak. 2. Observe their reactions to gain and failure. 3. See who their friends are. 4. Listen to what they do not say. And 5. Trust in actions, not in vows. May each of us become a discerning tea drinker, able to distinguish between true fragrance and a fleeting, bitter taste.